Hello and welcome to our 10 at 10. Today is June 15th, 2023. Today is Luke Day. How's it going today, guys? Hey, our series this past couple weeks have been about our agents that have been too busy to do the things they're supposed to be doing, like lead gen, right? Like education, like learning, like practicing the things that need to be done, right? This practicing the skills that make you a great agent. So anyways, we talked about automation and we talked about delegation. We talked about outsourcing. Today, we're going to talk about replacing. And there's a lot of different ways in our businesses that we can, build efficiency by replacing things that just aren't working or that are too clunky or that take too much of our time or even too much of our money, right? And the first way to do it is if you're using any sort of virtual assistant. All virtual assistants, just like all real assistants, are not created equal. Some of them need constant babysitting. Some of them need constant reminders. Some of them, right? Like you have to micromanage and this, that, and the other thing. If that's what the case is, you need to look at replacing them with somebody that has a little more experience or, a little more initiative or something to that effect. Because again, a virtual assistant should save you time, should save you money. And if your virtual assistant isn't doing that, then maybe it's the virtual assistant and maybe it's you, but you should look at replacing them with somebody or something that is going to be more efficient and effective. And cost is always a factor when you're talking about something like that too. But your time is super valuable, especially if it's getting in the way of lead gen or building relationships or things like that. Kind of along the same lines as a transaction coordinator, right? There are transaction coordinators out there that will do it from anywhere from 200 on up to, well, you could probably spend over 400 if you're willing to pay that. But again, all transaction coordinators are not created equal. And if you find yourself, again, micromanaging them, having to, tell them exactly what to do, when to do it, and then following up with them, making sure that it's done, as opposed to them, saying, hey, outline this for me. These are the steps, and I'll let you know when they're done. That's an entirely different thing, right? So one, you have to constantly micromanage them, invest a lot of time, effort, energy, and headspace, right? And in the other case, they know what the heck they're doing and they're going to get that job done for you and notify you all along the way. So that's, again, maybe another opportunity to replace something that isn't quite working the way it should. When we're talking about, the other big one where it's like a constant battle, right, is lead gen, especially if you're doing like online lead sources. All online lead sources, as you guys very know, are not created equal, right? What I would say how I would say this is when you're evaluating them, don't look at all of the leads they generate. Look at how many closings that lead source generates. And it's also really important to figure out how much time is invested per closing on those lead sources, right? And I'm not talking about, it took 2 years to close somebody from, that's not what I'm talking about. How much time, effort, and energy did you have to involve yourself in over those 2 years, right? If you have a CRM that follows up with people and is automated, like we do here at Next Home Champions, right? Then it may not take very much time at all. However, if you're finding buyers and it's taking 2 years of showing houses, right, and tons of time to get them to the finish line, then maybe it's your process and maybe it's that lead source. But I definitely recommend you taking a look at all of your lead sources every single year. We all know, because I've been preaching this ever since any of you have been here, is that your highest rate of return is your sphere of influence. But again, you should look at that cost, look at the time involved in that, and then how many of those cross the finish line, and evaluate that. And don't be afraid to replace what isn't working. And if you're investing thousands of dollars a year into something that has generated 0 closings or 1 closing, you really have to take a look at that, especially if it involves hundreds of man hours to get it to the closing line, right? But at the same time, that's why I love, marketing to your sphere. The ways you market to your sphere vary in effectiveness too, right? Social media is one, direct mail's another, personal phone calls is another, right? Pop-ins, having events like Luke Day for your sphere, all of those different things. If you can take a look at those, see which ones are working the best for you, and then replacing the ones that aren't working with something else. So that's what we're talking about. If you feel like you're too busy, look to see what you can replace. And anyhow, hope to see you at Luke Day today out at Harbor Humane from 12:30 to 2:30. We're going to be there, and I even buy you a free lunch. So anyhow, hope you're having a great day. Do your best to make today awesome.